What if I told you that your suffering doesn't come from what happens to you, but from your resistance to it? Think about that for a moment. The pain you've been carrying around, that weight on your shoulders, that heaviness in your chest. What if it's not actually caused by the events of your life, but by your refusal to accept them? Welcome back to Motivation Dose, where today we're diving into one of the most powerful principles that can transform your emotional life forever. Let's begin today's lesson with the nature of suffering. We've all been there. A relationship ends. You lose a job. Someone betrays your trust. Or maybe you face a major setback that knocks you off your path. The initial pain is natural. Sadness, anger, disappointment, fear. These are all valid human emotions. But here's the twist that changes everything. The prolonged suffering you experience doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the voice in your mind that says, "This shouldn't be happening. This is unfair. I can't possibly move forward from this." That inner resistance, that refusal to accept what is what transforms temporary pain into ongoing torture. That's the true source of suffering. As Carl Jung, one of history's greatest psychological minds, put it so perfectly, "What you resist persists." This isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a profound psychological and spiritual truth that has the power to completely transform your life. Think about it. The human mind is wired to seek control. We want life to go exactly as we've planned. We want to avoid discomfort. We crave predictability, stability, and certainty. But life doesn't operate according to our personal preferences. It follows its own mysterious rhythm. So what happens when life throws us a curveball? When things don't unfold as planned? Our instinct is to resist, to fight, to deny reality. We say, "This shouldn't have happened to me." And right there, in that moment of mental rebellion against what already is, suffering begins. Take a breakup, for example. The natural pain of losing someone might last for days, weeks, maybe even a few months. But the suffering that lingers for years, that deep, agonizing ache that keeps you up at night, that comes from refusal, from clinging to the past, from replaying memories on an endless loop, from believing that things should have turned out differently. It's not the loss that's destroying you. It's your refusal to let go of what already is. So how do we break this destructive cycle? The answer lies in a spiritual principle that, when fully embraced, has the power to change everything. Radical acceptance. Now let's be clear. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It doesn't mean that you like what happened. It doesn't mean that you approve of it, or that it didn't hurt. Acceptance simply means that you stop fighting with reality. You stop pouring your energy into an unwinnable war. You stop resisting what already is. Instead, you redirect that same energy toward the only thing you truly have power over, your response. And when you finally accept what has happened, truly accept it, something incredible begins to unfold. The heaviness starts to lift. Not because the pain magically vanishes, but because you've stopped feeding it. You're no longer fueling the suffering with your resistance. Imagine someone who's just been fired. If they hold on to anger, blame, and the belief that it was unjust, they can remain stuck in that pain for years, resenting the company, feeling like a victim, carrying that wound into every future job. But if instead, they choose to accept what happened and ask, "What can I do with this now?" They reclaim their power. They stop living in reaction and start living with intention. The pain becomes a catalyst for growth. That's the key. Pain, when accepted rather than resisted, transforms into wisdom. Before we continue with this life-changing journey, I want to speak directly to those of you who are serious about transforming your life before this year ends. If you're ready to break free from emotional cycles that have been holding you back, hit that subscribe button right now. At Motivation Dose, we deliver daily wisdom that cuts through the noise and gets straight to what matters. Our community is growing because we provide actionable insights, not just feel-good quotes. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss the content that could change everything for you. Now, let's go deeper into understanding why we get trapped in these emotional cycles in the first place. Here's a hard truth that few people ever confront. Your unconscious mind is programmed to make you suffer over and over again. If you've ever felt like pain just keeps showing up in your life out of nowhere, like suffering is some kind of bad luck that follows you around, then it's time to wake up to a truth that very few dare to acknowledge. You are the one repeating your pain again and again, without even realizing it. Not because you want to suffer, but because your unconscious programming is pulling you back into the same emotional loops. Jung put it this way in one of his most powerful statements: "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What Jung meant is that the pain you keep experiencing isn't random. It's not that the universe is punishing you or that life is just cruel. It's because deep in your subconscious, there are emotional and mental patterns that you keep reenacting automatically. You're reliving them not because you want to, but because they're familiar. They're wired into your internal system. Have you noticed how you always seem to end up in relationships that hurt you? Have you experienced moments of joy or success only to somehow sabotage them? Do you feel like you keep running into the same problems even when you promise yourself that this time will be different? That's not bad luck. That's your subconscious mind repeating what it knows. Now let's talk about something even more fundamental: the role of the ego in keeping you trapped in suffering. If you're truly committed to breaking free from the emotional patterns that keep hurting you, then you need to understand this. Your ego is your biggest obstacle on the path to healing. The ego is that inner voice that convinces you that you have every right to feel hurt, that the world is unfair, that others need to change before you can be happy. It tells you stories like, "I'm always the victim," or "nothing ever works out for me." But here's the brutal truth. The ego doesn't want you to heal. Because if you healed, if you truly let go of your suffering, the ego would lose its identity. It would no longer have anything to feed on. The ego thrives on conflict, on blame, on judgment. It creates drama just to keep itself alive. It tells you that your pain is proof that you're right and the world is wrong, that you're justified in your resentment, that you need to hold on to your wounds. One of the most dangerous tricks the ego plays is making you identify with your suffering. It convinces you that your pain is who you are. Without even realizing it, you begin to define yourself through the lens of your past wounds. You start saying things like, "I'm always betrayed. People always leave me. This always happens to me." And each time you say it, each time you think it, you carve that identity deeper into your psyche. You unknowingly become loyal to your pain. This brings us to one of the most transformative truths about emotional healing. Pain does not go away by fighting it. It begins to dissolve when you embrace it in a completely different way. From a young age, we're told to avoid pain at all costs. Don't cry. Be strong. Don't show weakness. So we learn to repress it, to deny it, to run from it. But the truth is, what you resist persists. The more you try to suppress emotional pain, the more power it gains. And here's the most beautiful truth of all: nothing lasts forever. Every emotion, no matter how intense, is temporary. Every wave of suffering will pass if you allow it to. Now let's go even deeper, because once you stop resisting pain, you can actually use it not only to heal, but to evolve in ways you never imagined. This is where true transformation begins. you can turn your pain into power. This is the alchemical process of healing. By now, you understand that resisting pain only makes it stronger, that avoiding it makes the wounds deeper, that accepting it is the first step toward freedom. But there is something even more extraordinary you can do. You can transform your suffering into your greatest source of strength. Jung understood this better than anyone. He spoke of the ancient art of alchemy, not as the literal transformation of lead into gold, but as a psychological and spiritual journey. The true alchemy happens within us. The lead is our pain, our deepest wounds, our fears, our traumas. The gold is what we become when we embrace that pain and allow it to refine us. Wisdom, strength, maturity, compassion. So the real question isn't, how can I avoid suffering? The real question is, how can I use my suffering to become stronger, wiser, freer? Think about the strongest people you've ever known. The ones with depth, with insight, with a quiet courage that radiates from their presence. They didn't get there because they had easy lives. They didn't become who they are by avoiding hardship. They walked through fire, they were broken open, and on the other side, they were reborn. Every experience of pain is a crossroads, a sacred invitation. You can let it close you down, or you can let it open you up. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. Jung once spoke about something called the dark night of the soul, a phase where an individual comes face to face with their deepest suffering. It's a period of intense emotional and spiritual turmoil where it feels like the foundation of your world is collapsing. But Jung didn't describe this moment as a punishment. He saw it as a sacred opportunity, an invitation to transformation. Because it is precisely when everything seems lost, when you think you can't go on, that you are standing on the edge of your greatest breakthrough. Now imagine that instead of resisting this darkness, you paused and asked yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this pain not to collapse, but to rise? In that moment, something powerful happens. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the alchemist of your own life. You begin to transform destruction into rebirth. So how do you turn your suffering into power? How do you alchemize pain into purpose? Here's a practical framework to begin this transformation. First, shift your mindset. Pain is not a punishment. It's an initiation. Life doesn't give you suffering to break you. It gives you challenges to awaken you. Those who see pain as unfair often remain trapped in bitterness. But those who embrace it as part of the journey emerge stronger than ever. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to evolve. So stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this here to teach me? Second, transform your story into your power. Look at those who have been through immense suffering, yet have managed to turn their pain into a force for good. People who were rejected and learned to validate themselves. People who were betrayed and discovered the strength of trusting their intuition. People who hit rock bottom and uncovered a power they never knew existed. Your story is uniquely yours, but how you use it is entirely up to you. Third, let pain fuel your purpose. Pain can either destroy you or drive you. It's your decision. If someone hurt you, don't dwell in resentment. Use it as fire to rise. If life feels unfair, show the world how you can overcome. If you've experienced loss, fill the emptiness with meaning. The most successful people in the world didn't get there because they avoided pain. They got there because they used their pain as a launching pad to greatness. When you've walked through suffering and truly learned from it, something remarkable happens. You become unshakable. You stop reacting to the negativity of others because you understand that their projections are not yours to carry. You no longer fear pain because you've faced it and survived. In fact, you've emerged stronger. wiser, more grounded in your truth. You become a person with an undeniable presence, someone who radiates quiet strength because you've been through darkness and found your own light. This is what Jung referred to as individuation, the sacred process of becoming who you truly are, without masks, without fear, without needing anything external to validate your worth. And when you reach this point, the emotional cycle of pain begins to dissolve. You no longer define yourself by what hurt you. You don't avoid pain. You welcome it as a teacher, a guide, a signal that you are ready for your next evolution. And then it hits you. Pain didn't make you weaker. It made you invincible. The choice is now in your hands. You know the truth. Pain isn't something you should run from. It's the spark that can ignite your most profound transformation. You have two options: remain stuck in suffering, resisting, feeling like a victim of life's cruelty, or use that same suffering as a springboard to become someone stronger, wiser, more unstoppable than ever before. Only one of those paths will set you free. So which path will you choose? If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready. Ready to change your life. Ready to stop being defined by your suffering and start writing a new story. But this is just the beginning. If you're serious about transforming your life before this year ends, now is the time to take action. Subscribe to Motivation Dose right now and turn on notifications. We post life-changing wisdom daily that will help you continue this journey of transformation. Our community is made up of people just like you, seekers who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who are committed to growth no matter what life throws their way. Remember, what you resist persists, but what you embrace transforms. Join us on this journey, and let's transform together. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.